thanks for joining me. We are going to discuss the moon cycle, aka the menstrual cycle. I'm so excited for this topic. My name is Jerry Stroop. I am a certified Reiki master, registered Kundalini yoga instructor. I'm a certified energy healer with the Donna Eden program. So I also do energy medicine, and I also am a witch, and I do witchcraft. So I'm so excited to dive into this topic. If this is something that you like, definitely do hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, it's free. It just will make sure that you get the newest content as it's released. And I hope that you enjoy this content because it was very valuable for me when I was going through my yoga training, but understanding the energies that I experienced throughout my menstrual cycle. And if you're a man who's joined this channel, this is for you. I know that you're like, I don't have a menstrual cycle. This is for you because this is going to help you understand your woman or your significant other or your mother or your daughter or whomever you have in your life. Because even if you don't have a menstrual cycle, you know somebody who does. So you definitely want to take a look at this information. It's going to be very helpful in understanding the women in your life. All right, so let's talk about the average cycle. So a menstrual cycle is defined by day one of bleeding. So that is the very beginning of your cycle. And it will be on a cycle of 21 to 45 days, depending on the woman, because each actual cycle is very unique. The average cycle, they do follow the lunar calendar. So that is going to be about 28 days. But I will open it up for those of you who do bleed beyond the 28 days and go more into the 45 day, but anything beyond that is really considered kind of chronic, so I don't really cover that. And this will continue on until bleeding stops or what is considered menopause. So there are four phases. There's the menstruation phase, which is days 1 through 7. There's the follicular phase, days 6 through 14. Ovulation phase, days 10 through 16. And then the luteal phase, 15 to 45, again, averages about 28 days. Ovulation occurs around day 10 to 16, but averagely it happens about the 14th day of the month. You ovulate from the left 1 month and then the right the next month. And when you, even though you may not be still having a menstrual cycle, the hormones and the energies will still impact you. So this is still really great information, even if your cycle has stopped. Okay, let's talk about just a brief overview of what is going on within these days. So day one, bleeding begins. So your menstrual cycle has begun. And then day 1 through 7, a few follicles are going to grow and they're going to have an immature egg at the center of the follicle. And estrogen is beginning to be secreted into the bloodstream. So this is really preparing your uterus and your body for pregnancy. Around day 7, only one follicle is going to survive and continue to grow. And the others are actually going to degenerate and scar. Day 12, large amounts of estrogen floods the bloodstream. And this aids the female reproductive organs and cells and help them actually mature and grow. Day 14, there is a lot that happens on day 14. So this is the typical day that you would be ovulating. So the hypothalamus is going to detect a high rise in estrogen, and it's going to release its own hormone signaling to the pituitary gland to release the follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, and the luteinizin hormone, LH. And it triggers testosterone production as a result. So women, if you've ever noticed that around the mid of your month, you may be craving a bit more, sexual attention or a lot more sex, it's actually because your testosterone is up. So you definitely are going to feel a little bit more like your sensual self. So the follicles begin to come out of the ovary. The fallopian tubes are actually going to swoop in and come a little closer so it can catch it. Meanwhile, the cell is going to burst out of the ovary. It floats into midair until it's swept into the fallopian tube. I mean, come on, how witchy is that? That is so cool. And then day 21 through 45, you're going to have the increase in progesterone levels that I talked about. And this is produced by the pituitary gland, the endocrine system, and this is to prepare your breast and your uterus for fertilization. And this is my nice little drawing over here of what, the little egg bursting out of the ovary and going up to the fallopian tube. Of course, the fallopian tube would be a bit more closer, but this is just my crude drawing just so you get an idea. Okay. So I want to put this, it's basically everything that we just covered, but I'm going to put it in a round chart because eventually we're going to overlay this with the energies. And I just want to briefly show you how to read this. So we're not going to go over all the information. It's just a brief overview. So right here where we have our little map guy, this is where bleeding starts. So it's going to start, here we are, day one. This is the menstrual cycle. And then we're going to move to the next phase, which is the follicular phase, again, days 6 through 14. And then you have your ovulation phase. And then we come over here to the luteal. Okay. All right, let's move on.
Okay, before we jump into the lunar archetypes, I did want to talk about the power of the moon. I think this gives a good representation of how powerful the moon and the moon energies can be. And also, these moon energies are going to play out when we talk about the lunar archetype. So it's very important to understand the moon. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the ocean's tides. So the ocean actually takes up about 70% of Earth. 80% of our bodies are made out of water. So to think that the moon is going to affect the ocean in such a large scale, but wouldn't affect our bodies, even though we're made up of the same element of water, is just insane to me. Because honestly, I do feel like the moon's energies affect us. And again, I love the whole concept of calling it a moon cycle, as most people actually do follow the moon cycles themselves on a 28-day cycle. Time. So where would we be without time, right? If you look at it, when I started to get into physics, one of the interesting concepts that they talked about is that our time is actually set by the rising of the moon and the rising of the sun, setting of the moon, setting of the sun. And, it's not like if it's 7 p.m. here on Earth, it's 7 p.m. on Mars, right? That's not how time works for everybody. It's a little different once you leave Earth. So again, really crazy that the moon actually provides us with our night and day and time, our concept of time. E equals MC squared. I always like to talk about this because this is a scientific way that they have proven that energy is the substance of the universe. When you look at the subatomic particles called atoms, they are just swirling balls of gas. Super witchy, but Google it. I'm not kidding. And that makes up your entire body and the physical world around us. And it's made out of energy. Energy must be present in order to get mass. That is just how it works. Symbol to many. So duality, it's the relationship with the sun. So that light and dark aspect, that male, which is more of the sun, and the female, which is more the lunar. Again, conscious would be more of a solar thing, and the unconscious would be more of that deep and moon energy, that femininity. Rhythm of life, right? Again, we're talking about time. Like we know to go to bed because our pineal gland doesn't detect light anymore. So it secretes the melatonin into our bloodstream. So we know to go to sleep. The moon is extremely powerful. It can help us with so much. It represents eternity and love in some cultures, connection to the universe. Again, it's the feminine energy. So it's represented by darkness, mystery, renewal, and transitions. It used to be guide to early man, not only just physically, but also spiritually. And it's always been associated with magic or supernatural power. So again, the moon is pretty cool and super witchy.
All right. So the moon archetypes, let's jump in. So we have four main archetypes that we're going to talk about: the maiden, the mother, the enchantress or wild woman, whichever one you prefer to, it's no right or wrong answer. It's whichever one you prefer to identify with. The witch, the crone, or the wise woman. I like to go with witch, but some people prefer to go with crone or wise woman. So it's totally up to you. All right. So the first one we have is the maiden. This is going to happen, and we're going to start out not when bleeding begins because the maiden doesn't actually come in until days 6 through 14. So we're going to start with the maiden just so we can kind of build up from a perspective of when we do get to our menstrual cycle. So the maiden, again, days 6 through 14, it's pre-ovulation. You're full of energy. You're feeling young. You're feeling creative. You're ready to take on new projects. This is time to socialize. And this is also the time that I talked about, and we'll talk a little bit later. This is your problem solving time. This is the time where you feel like you could get into any disagreement with anybody, but you're really going to be able to shine and you're going to be able to hold true to your truth and not feel so frazzled. It's symbolized by the waxing moon, the incoming tide, spring, the element of air, and ease. The mother. So this is days 14 through 21. This is considered your ovulation cycle. You're mature and developed. You're expansive and ready to help others. And you're also super creative. It's symbolized by the full moon, full tide, summer element of water, and the south. The Enchantress or Wild Woman, days 22 through 45, in touch with the inner world. You're going to be a lot more sensitive. So, probably like energetically and psychically, even from a healing perspective, your healing abilities start to increase. You're intuitive for both yourself and others. And this is really time to focus on your intention for the next 30 days. So, you're going to have this like metaphorical death and rebirth because as your cycle is being detected that you're not pregnant, again, all of that is going to flush out. We're flushing out the old, getting ready for the new. So, time to set your intention. Symbolized by the waning moon, the outgoing tide, autumn, element of fire, and east. The next one is the witch, the crone, and the wise woman. So this is when you're going to be on your menstrual cycle. So days 1 through 7. This is a lot of inward reflection, hibernation, not a time to give to others, but to tend to yourself. It's symbolized by the new moon, low tide, winter, earth, and north. Okay, so I am not going to go through again this chart, but I'm going to show you how to read this. And then we're going to look at the next chart, which is going to have everything overlaid. And it's going to break it out more into the physical, the energetic, and the mental. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, we're starting here with our bleeding, our little maps here to get us started. The witch is days 1 through 7. Then we come down here. We've got the maiden days 6 through 16. And then the mother days 14 through 21. And then the enchantress days 22 through 45. Okay, so this is the big chart that we were talking about. There's a lot of information, but don't worry, we're going to walk through it. It's going to make a lot of sense. And before we get started, I do want to note that this is based on an average woman's cycle. We're looking again, somebody who is going to start bleeding during the new moon, but that is an average. I am somebody who actually bleeds on the full moon. So it just really depends. So you may see when you enter in your own data that yours is a little different, or it could also be flipped, right? So you can really see where the energies may be working for you or working against you. But this is our average happy path, right? Day one of moon cycle, season, winter, moon, new moon, or dark, cardinal direction, north. Started with the witch. This is the menstruation cycle, okay? So this is the phase that's really should be dedicated to rest. So let's start at our mental health is the first one. This is hibernation, inward reflection. Physical health, fatigue, cramps, PMS symptoms, follicles are growing, low estrogen, gentle exercise, less fat and sugar. We've been told a lot in society to eat a whole bunch of sugar and all this fat during our menstrual cycles. They have literally proven that's not true. Sugar, number one, it can be an endocrine disruptor, and the endocrine system involves your pituitary gland, your uterus, all of the things that are part of your reproductive system. So you really want to be sure that you're eating a lot healthier because your body needs nutrients. It doesn't need sugars and fats. So something to really pay attention to. Energy health, focus on the self. Sacral chakra and root chakra healing is really big during this time, especially if you have menstrual cramps. This will help with the pain. Projects on hold. So if you've got stuff that maybe you can like lay down and just review or just do the finite details, this is a great time to do this, but don't put on brand new projects, and as much as you can, allow yourself a break. This is when your physical and healing abilities are going to increase. And as we move into the next phase, days 3 to 5, you're going to see the estrogen begin to build. All right. So day 7 of the moon cycle, this is when your estrogen again begins to build. The season is spring. The moon is a waxing moon, and the cardinal direction is east. From a mental health perspective, you're feeling vibrant, full of life, social, and ready to mingle. This is when you really want to problem solve. If you have some difficult things to discuss with your partner or anybody else, this is the time to do it. You're feeling a lot more vibrant and ready to take on challenges. Physical health, pre-ovulation, one follicle is continuing to grow. Reproductive organs grow and mature. Energy health, you're active, you're creative, your ability to take on challenges and new projects. Okay. So again, I have in parentheses relationships. So this is again when you should have those discussions. All right, at the very bottom, day 10 through 14 of the moon cycle, the estrogen floods, right? So the moon is a full moon. The season is summer. The cardinal direction is south. So we're going to come up here to this mental health. This is considered the mother and ovulation phase. So during this phase, the mental health is expansive and maternal. You're mature and developed. You're available to yourself and others. The physical health, you're actually ovulating, your testosterone is up, your orgasm frequency, availability to orgasms, and intensities increase. So you have a lot more sexual availability during this time. The growth spurt in the cell, the tubes move closer, and the egg bursts out. So a lot going on. Your energy health, you're full of emotions during this time. You're really going from a mix of active going into rest, but it really just depends on how you've treated your body for the past 30 days. Have you set yourself up for success, or are you putting yourself in a place of opportunity for growth and finding that intention? Because this is where we really need to start seeing, how do we feel? Take a look at your skin. Is your skin dry? Were you hydrated over the past month? If not, these are starting to show physical signs of what we need to do for the next month in order to prepare our cycle. Because one thing I didn't mention is during the maiden phase, you'll notice in the mirror, your skin never looks better. You actually look vibrant. You look full of light. So you can also see from a physical perspective how the energy is really affecting you, because the energy is from the inside and it's really going to come out from a physical perspective. Okay, so we're looking here, day 21 through 22 of the moon cycle. So your progesterone is building. The season is autumn. The moon is a waning moon, and the cardinal direction is west. So this is the enchantress or the wild woman, the luteal phase. Okay, so we're going to focus here at the mental health. You're going to be sensitive and intuitive during this time, very in touch with your inner world. Physical health, the PMS symptoms may begin to set in now. You may be feeling bloated, tired, tender. Progesterone is continuing to build. You need more healthy fats and a lot more exercise during this time. Again, exercise is going to help you with the pain. Get moving, and that will help you, as well as being able to eat a very stable and healthy diet. Energy health, again, you're intuitive and you're ready for yourself. I'm sorry, you're intuitive for self and others. And this is a great time to start focusing on setting a new intention for the new cycle. This is a drawing that I put together. It has everything kind of together here. I put this together for my clients, but this is just kind of a crude drawing of what I just showed you. If you do prefer this, I actually really prefer my own drawing over what I could do in PowerPoint. Feel free. You can even just take a snapshot of it. I don't get upset with those things. If this is helpful to you or other people, share this information. I mean, honestly, we need to share information with each other. We need to keep each other abreast on our cycles in general. It just helps people better understand women, and it helps us as women better understand ourselves. Okay, so let's talk about tips on keeping healthy during your menstrual cycle. I don't know if you can see this little box, but I'm just going to move this over just in case. So tips on keeping healthy during your menstrual cycle. So you want to eat whole foods. So I put in here organic. You can do the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, especially if you live in a country like the United States, maybe even India. Those are ones that have started using some pretty hefty chemicals in their food. So eating organic isn't, organic should be non-GMO and all that other stuff. It doesn't really mean that. All it means is it's free of pesticides. And it really is going to, pesticides are an endocrine disruptor. So that's why you want to avoid it. It will throw your cycle off. You don't want to be eating a ton of heavy metals that they put in these pesticides. Let's just be honest. It's just not good for you. And again, pesticides are created to kill the nervous system of bugs. So if you keep eating something that's intended to kill the nervous system of bugs, you can imagine what it's going to do to your nervous system. Okay, so try to eat organic when you can. Of course, there is the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So the Clean 15 includes things like corn, mangoes, I think even avocados is on that list. So those you don't have to buy organic, but check out the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. Hormone free, again, they have a lot of hormones in these foods, and especially the meats. So what you want to look for is hormone free, specifically synthetic hormones. You do not want those synthetic hormones. Antibiotic free if you can get it as well. Try to just remove as much additional stuff from your food. Exercise regularly, even if this is gentle exercise, walking for 10 minutes, just sitting in a chair and moving your arms around. You just want to kind of get a sweat up for 10 minutes at least a day. So again, this is kind of rolling into my next point. Take time for yourself, even if it's only 10 minutes a day. I like to do the daily energy routine. I like to do yoga. I like to do things that fill my cup in my day. So that way, every day I have something to look forward to that's mine and that is for my personal health and growth. Set a routine geared towards health and growth. I mean, I'm just rolling right into these. I guess this is exactly what I was thinking about. Sorry, I'm going ahead of myself. Each cycle is an opportunity to set an intention or goal for the next cycle, even if you don't have one. So if you don't have a menstrual cycle, but you still can follow the moon cycles, you can still identify where your energy's at and set an intention and figure out how to continue to grow. Adopt a gratefulness practice. This is key. You want to be able to be grateful in your day. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and we were discussing how we have this mentality of have to versus I get to, right? Like I have to do the dishes. That already makes me feel defeated. But I get to do the dishes. I own dishes. I am able to cook my own food. I am able to eat healthy because I've afforded that for myself. I should not take that for granted. So really look at everything as an opportunity for gratefulness practice. Liver health. It processes the hormones. Your liver processes the hormones. So when you're eating processed food, alcohol, again, these disruptions through the digital world, we have to process all of that stuff through our organs, and that's specifically through the liver. So you want to, again, make sure that you're keeping yourself as healthy as possible, especially when it comes to your liver health. All right. Well, thank you so much, loves. I really appreciate you joining me for this walkthrough on the moon cycle. I hope this has helped you understand yourself. If you like this content, please feel free to like it, to share it, and to become a subscriber. So when you become a subscriber, you basically just get notifications to my new content. So I appreciate it so much. You have a wonderful day.